Concepts, Values and Wise Advice from the Billy Meier Contacts, compiled by David Chance, revised October 18, 2023.
Swinging waves.
Contact Report 77.
Not only the treacherous elements in the group and the negative intelligences of Giza and the group in Brazil drive a malicious play of forces, but also the constellations of the stars and planets assert their influence in the strongest form. A particular danger lies with them in their dealings with their means of locomotion, because in this line, not only is a negative influence exerted on them by the malignant intelligences and the constellation-swinging waves of the stars, but also because they are influenced by the negative utterances of third persons, which are partly life-threatening forms, or which at least raise doubts about the truth. These are forms of expressions and assertions which are applied to them, which are able to cause a strong thought contemplation at the wheel while driving, which can lead to bad accidents.
Contact Report 91.
The Cygnar represent a human race whose senses are highly sensitized to swinging waves from outside their own bodies, but only in planetary or ship internal regions. Thus, they are able to receive and analyze swinging waves of all life forms. And here lies the answer to your question. The Cygnar have a form of government on their home worlds, which your Earth humans designate as herd instinct, but which is nevertheless led by the strongest of the herd. So this order is a resemblance of a herd order in animals, the strongest of which exercises the position of the leading animal. Since the Cygnar had held this form of government since time immemorial, they changed it in the course of the last millennia only to the extent that they replaced the strongest of their kind with the most knowledgeable in spiritual matters, who thus was also the one who emits the highest swinging waves, which is synonymous with the most powerful swinging waves. Thus, it is only natural that on foreign worlds, when they visit such worlds intentionally or unintentionally, the Cygnar search for their kind and their form of government also for the highest spirit knowledge-based swinging waves of this world, and if necessary, turn to it when they need it. And through your spiritual teaching, also known as creation energy, based learning and your knowledge, you are the person on the earth who gives off this highest swinging wave from himself. This again means for the Cygnar that, for them, you are that form of life on this world, in respect of that mentioned, above which no other form of life stands. This alone can be the reason why they try to connect with you.
Nevertheless, there are some things that do not make sense to me. For example, why these twits do not turn to you or to the other groups, because all of you have decidedly several times higher swinging waves than me.
Your thoughts are very logical, but you forget that we have to leave our swinging waves in our station or in our ships to be absorbed by them in order not to influence the Earth human beings through them.
Are those swinging waves that I know, for example, as sympathy and antipathy?
This is only partly correct, because there are other factors contained in it. One of these, for example, is the one who shapes the pros or cons in a life form when it enters such a swinging wave. If, for example, a teaching of the truth is spread by a life form of truth, then its swinging wave spreads very quickly and very intensely. If now other life forms find the truth in this teaching themselves, with which they themselves strive for the truth, then they become available for the swinging wave reception of the swinging wave of the respective swinging wave sender. As a result, the swinging wave receivers calibrate themselves in the subconscious to work out the teaching of the truth in themselves for the best, whereby they automatically create a connection to the disseminator of the teaching, and even to his or her place of residence.
But what would happen if you were to fully release your swinging waves?
It would happen that all of the Earth humans who would be hit by our swinging waves would only orient themselves towards us, whereby they would become completely foreign in their world and would no longer be able to endure.
Contact Report 92.
You destroyed your blockade by all your work and your burdens, which you did not realize because your anger almost made you race and lose all control. As a result, malignant swinging waves penetrated into you, which are directed at you by directional beam devices through the Giza intelligences. The rupture of the blockade meant that these swinging waves were able to penetrate you unhindered and trigger reactions in you that are dangerous not only for yourself, but for all our tasks, because you act so unreasonably and emotionally when these swinging waves hit you that have to work destructively upon you.
Contact Report 93.
A quite confused form of thinking, as you can see, but very typical in particular for your wife, but also in general for all her loyal and erroneous ones, some of them born in the same sign of the zodiac, Scorpio, as she, because their forms of thinking are very confused and full of unfulfillable fantasies. This is the rule at any rate, but also the fact that an uncontrolled and unfounded urge for destruction always breaks through, which is unfortunately completely disregarded by your so-called astrologers with such failures because they proceed from completely wrong basic pre-assumptions concerning the swinging wave implications of the stars, etc.
Contact Report 97. The reason that we cannot connect with you human beings of the Earth in physical form is this. The levels of swinging waves between the human being on the Earth and us are so fundamentally different and pronounced in the forms of the negative and the positive, as well as the balanced, that this can lead to serious consequences if they touch each other. As a rule, these human swinging waves reach up to 90 meters, which is why it must be ensured that this distance is not broached. That is to say that terrestrial humans do not reach us under this distance mark. Our swinging waves are very highly sensitive, and we ourselves react equally highly sensitively to oscillations that penetrate our oscillation range. In contrast to the terrestrial humans, we are very high in our consciousness-based overall development, 20 to 35 million years ahead of the terrestrial humans, which is why our entire swinging wave system has refined. If the swinging waves of the much less sensitive human being on the Earth were to strike us now, precisely because earthly human, and thus also quite unbalanced and negative swinging waves, would penetrate into the area of our swinging waves, then this would amount to a very strong swinging wave structural agitation, which in reality also embodies it, which would have the consequence that the strong external influence would lead to an instantaneous uncontrollability of all reactions, thoughts and actions in us, which would at the same time trigger uncontrolled feelings of fear. This means that when the swinging waves of an Earth human meet us, who unfortunately still emits very negative swinging waves today, we would be affected in many respects in momentary speed and start to act uncontrollably, which was also the case with Simyase when she fell in the center and suffered the severe injury. As a rule, when we go among terrestrial people, which is very rarely the case, we use a device that protects us from terrestrial human swinging waves. But this was never necessary for you, because you are free of these swinging waves through all your knowledge and equalizedness, according to which it comes very close to ours. In the center now a certain protective ring, a small protective screen, was established, which keeps away such swinging waves of the terrestrial humans. This protective shield, however, is only of limited strength, so only directly for the center itself, but in the lower space still weak radiation from outside can enter if someone goes directly to the entrance, or to the outer wall. Now, when Jacobus was at the outer door, his swinging wave penetrated to Simyase, and produced in it the fear and uncontrollability I described earlier, which drove her to an uncontrolled action. The consequences of this are known to you. These swinging wave structure agitations, which are dangerous for us, together with our strict directives, are the main reason why we are not allowed to engage in physical contact with terrestrial humans. Even with our telepathic, or even only inspirational impulse-based contacts, we have to exercise extreme caution, because thrown-back impulse-based swinging waves also have similar effects.